Okay, Shalom. Wonderful lesson ahead. To come to my master, to Seir, defeating Satan in his home territories. Time we got this ground back. Okay, let's go and have a look at this week's Torah portion, verse from this week's Torah portion, and exactly some of the numbers and the concepts that actually reveals. So we've got this verse from Genesis 33:14. Now let my masters go ahead before his servant, and I will move at my own slow pace, according to the pace of the work that is before me, and according to the pace of the children, until I come to my master, to Seir. Okay, so it says in the commentaries of the Tanakh, the Torah, because the tzaddik Yaakov spoke these words, they have to come to fruition, and they haven't yet. He has to go to Seir, okay, and meet his brother Esav in Seir. Esav is really synonymous with evil inclination and synonymous with Satan. Esav's guardian angel is Satan, so we basically got to go into Satan's own territory and defeat him there, And this is the whole idea of the giving of the Torah in the wilderness, in a place of snakes and vipers and scorpions. There's a whole load of commentary in the Zohar. The reason why, it's all because only in that place of great darkness can the Torah be completely clarified, and the darkness of that experience transformed to the light of the revelation of the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. So there are all these concepts to bear in mind when we're analysing this particular verse. So there's lots of numbers there. Let's go and have a look at some of them. First and foremost, I want to point out that I noticed this when I was reading it. Ad Asher Avo El Adoni Seira. There's 5 alifs there. Now this relates to a commentary that the Baal Shem Tov did about the whole concept of the aleph being concealment of the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. And why? Because we've got this verse here. The Baal Shem Tov has a commentary on this verse because it's part of the Song of the Sea, yet each letter is about something really quite awful, and yet hidden in that there's only Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. Okay, it says, because the enemy said, I will pursue, I will overtake, and I will share the booty. The numbers of this aren't related to this verse, but I just wanted to point out that point, because there's 5 alifs here, and like I say, the Baal Shem Tov said, this is a concept of Alufo Shal Olam, Master of the Universe. Even in the aleph, in this instance, which is talking about the enemy, pursuing and overtaking and sharing the booty, only Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh is hidden in that. Okay, there's only Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, Alufo Shel Olam, Master of the Universe, and nothing else beside him. Okay, and this is what we should be empowered with, the truth regarding the aleph, the truth regarding the concealment of this world, that looks like something other than Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, but hidden in that is just, ultimately, it's just an opportunity to reveal the absolute sovereignty and power of the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh itself. It's himself. So it's only opportunity, and we've got to transform all the concealment into a revelation. Okay, this is a little bit like what sometimes you hear very righteous Jews speak about. I recently heard this story about this young man. I'm only paraphrasing, but he was in the bottom of a boat, and somebody came over to him and urinated on him. But he didn't even flinch. He didn't move from his place. He wasn't offended or upset by what this ignorant man had done to him, because he only had Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh before him at all times. And that gematria does come up and is related to this. To him, there was no bad or good anymore. There was no good inclination, bad inclination. There was no this is worthy, this is unworthy. It was all Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, and he was so aware and conscious of the fact that there was only Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, nothing else beside him. That when the man urinated on him, he didn't even flinch. He didn't feel, his ego was not aroused at all, because he knew there's only Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. And by divine providence, this man had been brought into his where he was sleeping, and was ignorant enough to urinate on him, probably perceiving him to be a lower class citizen just at the in the bottom of the boat. Something along those lines. We've got to really get to that stage. That's when we ultimately defeat Satan and his tricks, isn't it? Where we just know, there's only Yod Heh Wah. There is nothing other than him. Even the Aleph, even the concealment, even though those things that could potentially provoke our egos and our flesh to respond, what are they really? Nothing. They're nothing. There's only Yod Heh Wah, nothing else beside him. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out because I think it's definitely related to this. We are so programmed to think this is good, this is bad. This is a concept of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We've lost access to the tree of life. There's only Yod Heh Wah, nothing else beside him. So we're all the time, aren't we, assessing reality through this dual perspective. This is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. If this happens to me, I'm cursed. If this happens to me, it means I'm blessed. But really we've got to get beyond that. And that's part of the defeating of Satan in his own territory. Because then he just loses he's no power then, has he? He's no power to inflame your flesh at all. We've got to reach that place where we're just not inflamed at all by the tricks of Satan, the deceiver. So that's one way of looking at it. Right, let's go and have a look at some of these really good numbers. First of all, innocent. The regular and ordinal add up together 1,440 to innocent, tam. This refers to Yaakov. It's also connected to the concept of truth because Tav and Mem are the last letters of truth. And he attaches to the Aleph. The Tam attaches to the Aleph and marries the Aleph, if you like. Ish Tam. And becomes a Meth, truth. Okay, so you take the Aleph that conceals. You've got Yaakov here, the Tam. When you're perfected, it means innocent, but it also means perfect. In his perfected innocent state, he attaches to the Aleph and it just reveals truth. Okay, this is quite an important number, 1,000, because that's Moshiach ben Yosef and Moshiach ben David, 434 plus 566. So there's probably a connection there. When he's empowered with the truth regarding those two, he can go up to and to meet and defeat Esav. It's not so much defeating Esav, it's really transforming Esav from chaos into shalom, from our enemy into a vessel that can ultimately receive blessings. So we've got to subdue down our flesh, calm down our flesh, humble ourselves so that we become a vessel of shalom that can receive that illumination of his name. We're humble enough to receive the illumination of his name. We're not getting provoked and in that provocation becoming angry and afraid and hopeless and all the other negative emotions that are justified in this reality. However, we have got to, remember that more justified than those emotions is a revelation of the truth that there's only Yod Heh Wah and he's only good. And everything that happens to us is for an ultimate good purpose. Okay, so there's lots of things that we can meditate on there. I will point out 180. I haven't brought any of the numbers up for that, but that is David Melech Israel Chai Wakayam. David, King of Israel, is alive and enduring. That comes to 180. Possibly the David Melech Israel. It'll be the ordinal of that, 180. So I haven't brought the numbers up for that, but I've just seen it now. I couldn't fit everything on and I just wanted to do a quick one. This is very interesting. So this is 8 Sachayim filled out to 8 second filling. 8 Sachayim filled out to the second filling. So and at the level of Atziluth, when the He is filled with the He and the Vav is filled with the Vav, so this is the greatest level of emanation of the tree of life. The name of Yod Heh Wah is a tree of life. It's connected to this until I come to my master to Seir. So the ultimate absolute revelation of the highest revelation of the tree of life is connected to that when Yaakov finally reaches that destination where he's taken the Aleph of the horrible things that have happened, the concealment, and the Aleph is also associated with the Aleph Gadol, which is Moshe. In the Torah, it is represented by the small Aleph, but it will become the Aleph Gadol, which is 1,000. You've got the 1,000 here, i.e. will become Moshiach ben Yosef, Moshiach ben David. And then that, attached to the Aleph, is the power to go meet Esav. It's all wonderful things. It's all wonderful things that I've been talking about for a long time. Pointing towards that end. Defeating Satan in Satan's own territory. It's the ultimate rectification, isn't it? Bringing Esav to a place of shalom. Transforming Esav into a vessel to receive an illumination of that Eitz HaChaim, the tree of life, the name Yod Heh Wahweh, above the letter of the Torah, within the letter of Torah, united together. Okay, so this is interesting. The triangular number of this is 1,490, a very significant number, because 490 is Melech Goyim, King of the Nations. Okay, and I've gone over that concept many, many times in my teachings, because Yod Heh Wahweh desires to be King over the nations, and King over Israel, and King over the nations, Melech Israel, and Melech Goyim. And the beginning and the end of the Torah confirm this, because the end of the Torah, before the eyes of all Israel, comes to an ordinal of 149. The very first verse of the Torah, Bereshith bara Elohim et hashamayim wa et haaretz, comes to 298 ordinal, 2 times 149. So the end is wedged in the beginning. Yod Heh Wahweh desires to bring Esav into a place of shalom, and once he's subdued to a place of shalom, and he's not provoking us, that would cause, the soul of Yod Heh Wahweh to flee. We're not responding to the provocations of our flesh, if you like, or our ego. We humble. We can fill up with that Yod Heh Wahweh desires to bestow upon us, and not only that, the entire of the creation can fill with the revelation of His glory. We're not pushing that away. And having instead these flesh responses. It's very important to subdue your flesh. It's very important to transform Esav into shalom, from ego into shalom. So here we go. We've got a big connection here as well, because we've got Yaakov unrectified, and then which Yaakov and Esav are synonymous with Yisrael and the nations, with male and female, with light and vessels, okay, or light and darkness. There's all kinds of different body and soul. They need to be united, okay, heaven and earth. There's all, Yod Heh Wahweh Elohim. There's all different kinds of words that we can use that are synonymous to the same phenomena of unity that must occur. So between body and soul, Esav represents the female, Yaakov represents the male. Yaakov rectified. So this is Yaakov as is normally spelt in the Torah. 5 times, however, in the Tanakh, he's got an additional letter Vav representing the truth and meth that we toil to reveal in these 6,000 days, 6,000 years of history, which are equivalent to the 6 days of creation. Okay, that are related to the 6 aleths that we find in the first verse of Torah, Bereshith bara Elohim et hashamayim wa et haaretz. So it's all connected, and those 6 alephs represent the 6 days. They are 6 concealments, 6,000 years, and we've got to toil with that concealment to reveal the ultimate revelation that there's only Yod Heh Wahweh, nothing else beside Him, and that's where we enter into our Shabbat and our rest, our Shalom. We've wrestled with all the forces of concealment. So here we've got Yaakov spelt normally and united with Esav. Yaakov spelt rectified with the truth of this 6,000 years of history and what that ultimately has revealed, God's plan and God's authority and God's sovereignty and God fulfilling His Torah, united with Esav there. So then we've got 2 numbers of them both together. if we add those two numbers together, we've got this number here, and I'll bring that up next. However, if we take the square ordinal of Yaakov perfected with the square ordinal of Esav and add them together, 7,570 and 733, so this is these two square ordinals, it comes to 1,490, exactly the same as until I come to my master to Seir. There is no unity, there's no Yaakov going to Seir until he's empowered with the truth. Od Yosef Chai. Okay, how do we know it's Od Yosef Chai? We'll get to that. I have placed the Lord before me constantly. So unless we've got a revelation of the Eitz HaChaim, the tree of life, the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh, that's been revealed at the top of the mountain, and the lower face and the upper face, the top of the ladder that we get to after we've crawled up all the rungs of the ladder, and with the angels of exile ascending and descending on both sides. So once we've climbed to the top of that ladder, i.e. got to the end of the exile, we are then able to perceive the upper face, because we've wrestled with all the forces of Satan to get there. So the upper face and the lower face, the Torah of Moshiach ben Yosef and the Torah of Moshe united together as one. Then we've got Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh before us constantly. You know, it's when we grasp those two revelations of his name and unite them together, we've got him before us always. We've got Esav, body and soul united, Yisrael and the nations united, heaven and earth united. You know, we got to that place of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh Shalom. You know, Yaakov represents the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh, he represents heaven. Esav represents earth, the vessel that needs filling, but it's got to be calmed down first. And we're seeing the absolute tail end of Esav, is the full force of his power, satanic power at this time, because he's on his way out. He's going to be subdued because Yaakov's getting armed up with the truth, and this is the death throes, if you like, the death throes of what was a satanic dominion. It will be no more, because we've got the power with the truth to overcome that. And that's why it's coming out so powerfully strong now, because we have in this world, but to see that level of darkness, it means we've got that level of light revealed also. So let's cling to that light. Set Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh before us always. Mount Gerizim, so this is the mountain of blessing. Also, we want to attain that level of blessing, don't we? We want to turn this curse into a blessing, darkness into light, chaos into shalom, evil into good. The regular and the Mispar Gadol, where the mem is the Mispar Gadol, numbering 600 instead of 40. Add those two together, it comes to 1,490. This is the Mount of Blessing, okay? And it's exactly the same as at Seir. when Yaakov gets to Seir finally, because he's empowered with the truth, he knows he can confront Satan. Because do you know what? He's already done the groundwork. He's already toiled, because she was the mother of all life. So she's called Chaya, which is the soul level of Moshiach ben David. It's a little bit lower than the soul level of Moshiach ben Yosef, because at that level we would be totally nullified and not separate from Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh. But at the level of Chaya, there is some separation. This is the soul level of Moshiach ben Yosef, Moshiach ben David, the Chaya, the holy beast, if you like, the mother of all living. He is the one that is ultimately able to defeat Seir. Okay, we've got to have that unity. The Moshiach ben David unifies the upper and lower faces together. The stick of Yosef and the stick of Judah as one. Okay, one stick and one good shepherd. So we need to attain that level. And these are indications of what we've got to do in order to attain that level, because she was the mother of all life. This is when Eve is fully rectified. You know, the kingdom, the Malkuth on earth as it is in heaven, raised up from the trash heaps and from having a face down in the dirt. This is it's the Holy Shekinah raised back up to the level that she should be up at, the level of Bina, which is the level of the throne upon which Moshiach ben Dawid sits. And we're told that the throne of David is Moshiach ben Yosef. It's all interesting stuff. You shall make 2 golden cherubim. This is connected up here to the unity of Esav and Yaakov, because it's both the square ordinals of them together. So these are the square ordinals when Yaakov's unrectified. These are the square ordinals with Yaakov rectified. If you add them together, it's 2 times 1472, which links to, and you shall make 2 golden cherubim. Okay, because there's always got to be one opposite the other, because Yotei is that one that is in the middle. You know, so there's always pulling forces, opposite forces. You can see this with the gematria. The gematria helps you to see the perfection of the, you know, the one we made one opposite the other. There's a total perfect balance of good and evil in this world, and the gematria helps us to see that perfect balance. And because we can see a perfect balance, then we know that there's one who are orchestrating that's much more powerful than those 2 forces in and of them themselves. I've got to reach that point, haven't we? 2 cherubim, and then Yotei is on the mercy seat between. So yes, we've got to have 2 opposing forces at this time. Okay. And through that, we are able to perceive the all-powerful one, i.e. Yotei. We can't see Yotei. This is the thing. Yotei is hidden. He is completely and totally hidden, but we can see him via divine providence. Okay. And this is why we're at this stage now. We're at the stage where these exile has passed us by, and we can see exactly what Yotei has been doing. Yeah, there's been good and there's been bad. There's been light and there's been dark. There's been a mixture, and we've got to try and sort through the good from the bad. But in the end, all of it, the good and the bad, will bring about a revelation of Yotei, because he's the invisible force that we can't see up front. We can only see it once it's passed by. The hidden way that Yotei has been working. And how has Yotei been working? Well, he's been using that concealment of Esav in order to gather in the lost of house of Yosef according to his Torah of Moshiach. And that means the lost of the house of Yosef. Ramchal says there's 70 nations, 35 in Edomite territory, 35 in Yishmaelite territory. This goes back to the whole concept of Ephraim and Manasseh being the 2 witnesses to the Torah of Moshe, that is the ketubah between Yotei and Yisrael. So he's put all this darkness in, he's put the house of Yosef in this darkness for them to wrestle against these forces of Satan, to reveal the power and authority of his name. It's for a purpose of a revelation of his name. And 35 of the nations, of the 70 nations, 35 are Edomite controlled, 35 are Yishmaelite controlled, 35 nations where the lost house of Yosef went to descend into like European Edomite nations, and 35 of the nations that the lost house of Yosef went to descend in amongst Yishmaelite controlled nations. Okay, and in the end they'll all be brought back together as one stick, the house of Yosef. And you see that whole process of, using the house of Yosef in all these dark corners of the world in order to subdue all those satanic forces down. But it's all been done in concealment, in a very hidden way. But when the time is right, all that light and all that good will be removed from that place, drawn out from that place, and it will become a revelation of the name of Yotei. Okay, but we've got a privileged opportunity now through the Torah of Moshe to be able to perceive this reality, what Yotei is doing. Because even though he's hidden, once you catch sight of the fact he's fulfilling his Torah, then you can understand what he's been doing throughout these entire 2,000 years of history. Okay, so there's lots of ideas. I don't want to get too lost in all those. I just want to get through all these. This here, and you shall make 2 golden cherubim, 2,592. This is related to 2 golden cherubim are related to Moshiach ben Yosef, Moshiach ben Dawid. Okay, Metatron and Sandalphon. There's all kinds of different ways of looking at that as well. And some of the doctrine around the whole concept of Metatron is corrupted within Judaism, so I don't like to go over it too much, but it's related to that concept. The way Yod-Heh-Waw is concealed, his name, he is hidden in this world. We can only perceive him through hindsight. We can only perceive him when we know what his will is, as is expressed through the Torah. It's to reveal his name. Okay, and he needs a vessel to be able to fill that with, and the vessel that he's chosen is Shalom. And where do we get Shalom from? Well, we got to subdue Satan, Esav, the evil inclination himself, from a place of chaos into a place of Shalom, and then we'll be able to receive that revelation. So this is none other than the house of God. This is what your should be an aleph there actually. Ein. Ein Zeki im Beit Elohim. This is none other than the house of Elohim. This is really the Mispah Gadol. Oh, there's a connection up there as well, isn't there? So guess what's going to get built when we get to this place, Seir? When we finally defeat Satan in Satan's own territory, when we've finally got that enough truth to be able to defeat all the forces of delusion and lies that's kept us in this Greco-Roman exile, at that same time, the house of God, the house of prayer for all nations will be built. Ein Zeh. Okay, so it's linked to this. You shall make 2 golden cheruvim. But that is also linked up there, isn't it? To until I come to my master. And like I say, that is David Melech Israel Chai Wakayam. He's alive and enduring. Okay, so this is very interesting. Again, going back to the concept of the unity between Esav and Yaakov, because you've got the regulars when Yaakov is unrectified, and the regulars of both when Yaakov is rectified. Add them together, they come to 1122. These two numbers here added together, 558 and 564, which is exactly the same as a square ordinal for Yosef is still alive. Okay, which is that revelation at the top of the ladder, which we need in order to defeat Satan. In order to be empowered to go against Satan, we need both revelations. We need the Aaron of Moshiach, and we need the Aaron of Yeshua, the Aaron Abrit and the Aaron that carried the bones of Yosef. That is being in the Edomite lands and the Ishmaelite lands, within Christianity and within Islam, doing the work of Yod-Heh-Waw to subdue all the forces of Satan down to the side of holy. But we're all still trapped in that overall exile, and until that every single work has been done with it won't be all thoroughly revealed. We won't enter into that final redemption, but we're getting very close. Okay, we're getting very close. So we can see that that's linked to that, and then that's linked back up to there. It's all wonderful. Yaakov rectified. So this is a phenomena as well, because you see this Yosef is still alive is a connection between Yaakov and Esav. Esav becomes Shalom, and King David is the one that brings the Shalom, Moshiach ben David. So you've got Yaakov rectified with the additional Yod, which is Od Yosef Chai, Yosef is still alive. That's the truth that revived Yaakov. Okay, to be told Yosef is still alive. The square ordinal of Yaakov rectified, the regular of Yaakov rectified, and the ordinal added together come to 998. It's a significant number in itself. David rectified with additional Yod, because sometimes he's spelt, many times in Tanakh he's spelt with an additional Yod, by the way, but normally it's Daleth, Vav, Daleth, but many times it's Daleth, Vav, Yod, Daleth. So that's David rectified with the Yod that represents Moshiach ben Yosef. 168 square ordinal, 24 regular, 24 ordinal. Add them together. That's I think that's Gevurah, to be honest. But anyway, we add those together, Yaakov and David, and that comes to 1214, which we see here is the square ordinal and the ordinal of Od Yosef Chai. The 92 is the ordinal of Moshiach ben David when David is spelt with additional yud. So it's all connected. Okay, so that's all connected to that. Yet that's connected to Yaakov and David rectified. Tifereth and Malkuth that need to come together via Yesod. Okay, Tifereth, Yesod, Malkuth, the Holy Trinity. The Holy Aleph, the Aleph Gadol, the upper Yod, that is the upper Yod that is Moshe, the Vav that is Moshiach ben Yosef, and the lower Yod, Malkuth, which is Moshiach ben David. So it's the Holy Trinity. 1, 2, 1, 4 is Yosef is still alive. That that unity is not accomplished, but then that leads to unity between Yaakov and Esav. That leads to Yaakov having the power to go to defeat or meet or transform Esav in his own territory to the side of holy into vessels of shalom. Esav needs Yaakov. Yaakov needs Esav. Because Yaakov does not become all he can be without Esav fighting against Satan himself. This is him wrestling through the night, isn't it? And then after that wrestle, he becomes Yisrael. We don't become Israel until we've defeated Satan, until we've defeated Esav in his own territory. Okay, so there's a great reward in attaining all these levels, isn't there? It's all connected and it's all wonderful, but no, it doesn't become Yaakov. Yaakov doesn't become Yisrael, his full potential, without Esav. Esav doesn't become his full potential to be a vessel of shalom, to receive that Yodeh desires to bestow, without Yaakov becoming all he can be, empowered with the truth, and then subduing Esav down from Esav chaos into shalom, from darkness to light. It's all utterly perfect. And then we've got this. This is quite interesting. There's lots to do with this whole concept of 257. But the Mispakdima number is 19 times 257, which is Yosef and Michael. Yosef and Michael really is the advocate, the power of advocacy. We've got to advocate for Yosef. You see, we got to be advocates as opposed to accusers. When we're accusers, we empower Satan. We empower Esav in a negative way. Okay, we're going to provoke hate. We're going to provoke despair. We're going to be provoking wars. That's what we do ultimately. You've got to advocate for what Yosef has done. Instead of seeing, oh, look at those wicked Christians over there doing all that pedophilia and all that idol worship, we've got to start to see what's hidden in all that. All the good that Christianity has accomplished in this world to subdue Esav down to the side of holy. Likewise, Islam has even gone to another level. But they haven't been subject to the same level of depravity and idol worship. So they have got the soul level of Moshiach at the level of Chaya, and the Christians had to have even a higher light, but then more darkness. You've got to have, they're always got to imbalance. So the light in Christianity is the upper face. That's what's hidden there. But you see, in order to reveal that, you've got to then reveal absolutely, completely the full force of Satan to conceal it so it keeps in balance. So that's a lot to do with why it's so garbed up in filth and rubbish, like the whole Roman Catholicism. You just think there can't be anything good, only evil there, but there isn't, because there's only Yod-Heh Wah-Weh. And then likewise Islam, they've got a lower level of the soul of Moshiach, the guiding them, the soul of Moshiach ben Yosef, Moshiach ben David, the soul level of Chaya. So they're not as evil, usually. What we're seeing now is a little bit connected to the zealots, the foundation of the zealots. They're just zealots for the wrong thing. They're zealous for death and they're zealous for murder. And that's part of the origins of Islam, goes back to the zealots of Christianity that founded it. We're seeing the absolute evil. We're going to see the absolute light revealed soon, God willing. You know, we just have to cling to that hope that this evil is He's going to be defeated in his own territory. And there's another way of looking at this, actually. I had this inspiration today. Sometimes you've got to beat Satan in his own territory, and Satan has got full control of the Abrahamic religions. The lies conceal. The lies cause the separation. You've got to defeat the separation from within Satan's own territory. So Satan's got full control of the religions. Why do we know that? Because of the separation in the world. So the Jews are separate from the Christians, who are separate from the Muslims, and there's a lot of outer husks keeping them apart, false teachings that I talked about, the teachings of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. But you've got to still defeat Satan in his own territory. Satan's got hold of all these religions. That's why you've got to use things like the Bible and the New Testament and the Holy Quran to prove. You've got to defeat Satan in Satan's own territory. He has all control of all these religions. We're all in the belly of the serpent. There's Roman Catholicism, there's Edomite Greco-Roman exile. We're all in the belly of the serpent. You've got to use the things that Satan controls people with against Satan himself. So use the Torah against the forces of Erev Rav. Use the New Testament against the forces of Edomite, the Greco-Roman, the Edomite clipper. Use what's written in the Quran against the lies of the Ishmaelite clipper. Defeat Satan in Satan's own territory. And that's exactly where you bring him down. This is why it's so important to try and understand what is actually written there, and instead of it causing division, like tree of knowledge consciousness, you've got to grow up and be mature and use this as the power. We've got to use the power of the name of Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh, the tree of life, to overcome the power of Satan to control these religions, to create separations. We've got to use the power of cling to the tree of life and use what Satan is using against Satan to bring about, instead of separation, unity, love, shalom, peace around the whole world. That's what unity brings. Love, peace, prosperity for all. No more hunger. So I think that's a little bit why we've got to stick to the Torah, we've got to stick to what the sages said, but we've just got to be looking at it through a different lens, the lens of the name of Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh. Set that before us always, and then we will be able to see clearly. So Michael, advocate, we've got to have the power of advocacy, because Satan is empowered through the power of accusation. He is the accuser. The more we accuse people of doing evil, the more we empower Satan, and the more it clouds our vision. That same accusation, instead of having Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh there, we will have devils there, evil people that we've got we're accusing people of. We've got to take a step back, got to take ourselves out of the picture, set Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh before us always, know that everything is ultimately for an ultimate good, to reveal his name. How is this then going to reveal his name instead of blind me from seeing his name? Moshiach, and that doesn't mean to say we don't have to deal with reality. We have to deal with the reality of living in Greco-Roman exile and all the horror show that comes with that. But we can't take Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh from before us either, as we're going to lose all the power that we've got to defeat Satan in his own territory. Moshe and Yeshua 257. Again, here we've got 4149. We can see there's a connection, can't we? If you have not got the revelation of Yeshua, the top of the ladder in truth, and you can't unite that with the Torah of Moshe, you can't unite this 2,000 years of experience, of the years of the Moshiach, the 2,000 years of Moshiach. If you can't unite that to the 2,000 years of Torah, you're going to have a problem. And if you can't unite it because you've got a false concept of Moshiach, the Yeshua, and what this last 2,000 years of the Moshiach, and you've also got a false understanding of the 2,000 years of Torah, what the true Torah of Moshe is and what the true Torah of Moshiach ben Yosef is, you're not going to create unity. You're going to have something there that's false, that's not going to reveal knowledge of Yotewaweh. It's going to reveal false knowledge, and with that false knowledge there's going to be a serpent there instead. You're not going to be empowered to go face off Satan in his own territory. So you got to have a true concept of Moshe. You got to pray for that. Please, Hashem, please give me a revelation. What is the Torah of Moshe? What is your name revealed within the Torah of Moshe? Likewise, the Torah of Moshiach ben Yosef. What is it? What does this mean to me? How is this going to empower me? Because you got to imitate that name. We need some sort of guidance how those are going to be united. That will come via Moshiach ben Dawid. We need to elevate ourselves up to this level, to be filled with to have that inspiration of the mother of all living, the soul level chaya of Moshiach ben Dawid. We've got to attain those levels now. For he touched the socket of Jacob's hip in the hip sinew. So that came to an ordinal mispakadol of 257. So after he'd wrestled with Satan, he got his hip touched because the job wasn't completely done at that point. Okay, it wasn't completely done, but he at least wrestled with him through the night. Yaakov's hip got touched by the devil. Yisrael got blessed by him, got to attain the level of Yisrael, and he is altogether desirable. Okay, so this is very interesting also. This is filled. I think I've got the... Okay, so let me bring this up as well. So there's two extra ones here that have got the 257. It's a really significant number. I'm going to bring some other numbers up because there's some really lovely stuff to look at. And he's altogether desirable. This is talking about the Machmed, Machmedim. He's altogether desirable. This is Moshiach ben Dawid. Okay, this is from Song of Songs. This is where I believe 100% that we get the name Machmed. I don't believe that is a name, just like Yeshua is not a name. Jesus is not a name. It means salvation, which is a revelation of the upper face. The Machmed is a title for a revelation of Moshiach ben Dawid that went into Islam in order to gather in the lost of the house of Yosef within Islam. Okay, and like I say, they need to be the two witnesses that seal their Ephraim and Manasseh, the two witnesses that seal the ketubah between Yodewaweh and Israel. The ketubah, the Torah of Moshe. It's the ketubah. It's all beautiful, it's all perfect. You've got to have eyes to see, however. You've got to have eyes to see. You've got to be so connected to revelation of the name of Yodewaweh that religious dogma and the lies we've inherited don't blind us to what Yodewaweh has been doing in a very, very concealed way. We have to wrestle with the forces of concealment. We have to be so attached to the name of Yodewaweh that we can only see him and nothing else beside. We need to humble ourselves, because you see the lies of religion, they puff you up, they create hate and division, and we've literally got to erase that. God's plan for humanity is bigger than our own. Okay, we are important, but God's plan is more important. And sometimes we've got to let go of ourselves in order to access his name, And he's altogether desirable, Song of Songs 5:6, and it's up here. His palate is sweet, and he's altogether desirable. That is my beloved, and this is my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem, altogether desirable. Wechulo Mahamadim, and it's very much, there are references where Muhammad is referenced as the Machmed. There are instances when he's referenced as the Machmed, and there's teachings available on the internet that show that this is a title connected to this concept of the Machmed. Even sounds the same, Muhammad. It's just Arabized, just like Jesus. It's an Arabized. It was a Greek name of, and Christ and all these things. They're just exiled names that are referring to highly messianic concepts. Machmed is referring to a highly messianic concept related to King David, the Machmedim. And they even call them, don't they, the Mohammedims. They used to say that a lot more. You don't hear it anymore. Mohammedim. Yosef filled, okay, to the second filling, where the vav is filled with an aleph, comes to an ordinal of 257. So we need to get Yosef is critical in this. The gathering in of Yosef, okay, the degree to which Yod-Heh-Wah has concealed himself in order to gather in, but done that in complete perfection to what is written in the Torah of Moshiach, is just utter perfection. Okay, but it all pivots around the whole concept of Yosef, that is Yesod, the foundation of the earth. Okay, so it's everything is based around Yosef, the truth regarding Yosef or Yosef Chai, but what that actually means. Okay. I just wanted to show you some other things connected to 257, so I'll just bring a slide up. I won't be going through the animations on the slide the same, but this is one that I did when I did the for he touched the socket of Yaakov's hip in the hip sinew. This is why we shouldn't eat the Gid Hana share. Do you know why? Because this word here, when he's been touched and he limps then, doesn't he? It says in he limps. Which is why they didn't. It's the previous verse to this actually, but it says that Yaakov limps, right? Yaakov, this struggle against Satan did not come without a price. He wasn't like roses round the cottage door. It was not a walk in the park. When the devil touched his hip and caused him to limp, this is the concept of the carrying the cross. It's related to the concept of carrying the cross, which is a distorted version. Take up your cross, take up your burden. That's why we know that is a concept that is rooted in Torah. It's even similar in words. The word for limped and the word for cross have two similar letters, the tzadi and the lamed. Okay, and that's also connected to the whole concept of tselem. We're made in the image of God. In Christianity, you've got this concept, you take up your cross. And it's within Islam, isn't it? This you've got to be the suffering servant of Yaakov. So we have got that concept, and that is exactly what it has been. Wrestling with Esau, it's a sufferance for every single human being. No human has escaped the torment of Satan, the infliction of suffering, death and disease and chaos, the darkness. Every single human has been touched with that, and everybody has got that limp in somewhere or shape or form in this world. I literally had my sciatic nerve crushed, and I ended up with a dropped foot, so I ended up with a paralysed foot, and I ended up with a limp that required healing. But everybody's had that cross to bear, haven't they? This is the concept in the New Testament where you've got your crosses to bear, you've got your burdens to bear. Yes, we have, until we've got the truth, and we can only get the truth after we've all passed through this 2,000 years of extraordinary battle. The Messianic era, the last 2,000 years, the Messianic era. Now we're at that place where we should be empowered completely with the knowledge of the name of Yod-Heh-Wah to defeat all the sufferings and all the evils and all the consequences and all the darkness and all the judgments and all the death that Satan puts upon us. Okay, it's once and for all to get rid of that whole concept of the suffering servant, and for us to meet with Esau, to reconcile all our differences, to there be unity and not separation. A holy unity, a unity based on truth and meth, instead of this horrible situation where we've just got separation based on lies. Okay, let's get there now, because you see, living under the dominion of Satan is a sufferance. We are suffering in this exile because there's no unity, there's no love, and there's no peace. Okay, so that's one way of looking at it. This is why you've got to start to see, yes, it's not just one set of people that have suffered in this world. All of humanity has had a cross to bear. All of humanity has had its hip joint touched in some way, shape or form. We've all been limping. We're all at diminished strength. We all need the truth. We all need the truth. So he who dwells in heaven laughs and the Lord mocks. I did a teaching about that. That was really, really wonderful. 257 ordinal. And this is the teaching which Moshiach set before the children of Israel. 13 times 257. Echad times 257. Ahava, love times 257. No coincidences there. Okay, and then this is so beautiful. This is where we want to get to. We feel like we've been divorced, don't we? We feel like we've been abandoned and rejected. I certainly do. And when you're in a state of suffering, face down in the dirt, wrestling with Satan night and day, and then, finally we get then we get our status elevated up to where it should be. And I will betroth you to me forever, and I will betroth you me to with righteousness and with justice and with loving kindness, with mercy. Please let it be soon. And I will betroth you to me with emunah, faith, and you shall know. Yada'at et Adonai. You shall know Adonai. So that's 23 times 257. That's Chaya times 257. Chaya, the mother of all living. We've got to elevate the whole of humanity up. Got to transform somehow Esav, the female, from this chaotic, diminished state up to becoming a vessel of shalom. Not an easy work to do then. But it will be done. And then we will know Yotewah. We have had our knowledge of God diminished. It's fallen from our place called Golgotha down into our flesh. We've got to raise it back up again. Okay, raise up our knowledge of God, and we are raising ourselves up, to the status that we should have, so that we have defeated Satan in his own territory. And with that, I will say shalom. Please share and subscribe. Thank you very much.